There's a strange kind of power in doing nothing. Not laziness, not apathy, but something deeper. A kind of stillness that holds the entire world together. Imagine this. A river flowing effortlessly down the mountain. It never struggles, never plans, never resists. Yet it shapes valleys, smooths stone, and nourishes life wherever it goes. Lao Tzu called this Wu Wei, effortless action. To act without forcing, to move without striving, to live in harmony with the invisible current of the universe. But how can doing nothing possibly lead to everything? In a world obsessed with progress, noise, and control, non-action sounds almost like failure. We are told to push harder, dream bigger, stay busy, as if existence itself is a race we could somehow win. And yet, somewhere deep within, something whispers that this endless motion might be the very thing pulling us away from life's natural flow. So what if the greatest wisdom lies not in doing more, but in letting go? What if the secret to mastery is not control, but surrender? And what if the truest kind of strength is the courage to be still? Because when nothing is done, nothing is left undone. We live in an age of relentless motion. Every moment is filled with the hum of productivity, screens flickering, deadlines approaching, hearts racing. We chase purpose the way a shadow chases light, believing that if we just move fast enough, we'll finally arrive somewhere meaningful. But the faster we run, the more distant that meaning becomes. Our calendars are full, yet our souls are starving. We talk about peace as if it's a luxury, not realizing it's the ground beneath every true joy. The paradox of modern life is this: the more we try to live, the further we drift from life itself. We strive to be successful, to be seen, to make a mark. But in doing so, we often lose the quiet awareness that gives everything its shape. Think about it. When was the last time you did something without needing to prove anything? When you walked, not to reach a destination, but simply to walk. When you sat in silence without your phone, without a goal, and allowed the moment to exist without control. We've mistaken movement for meaning. We've replaced presence with progress, and somewhere in the noise, the ancient wisdom of Wu Wei has become unthinkable. The idea that the highest form of action might be one that appears effortless. Because doing nothing terrifies us. It threatens the identity we've built from effort and ambition. We believe that if we stop pushing, everything will fall apart. But Lao Tzu reminds us it is precisely in stillness that nature finds its rhythm. Look at a tree. It doesn't force itself to grow. It simply stands, drinking light, breathing wind, and yet its growth never ceases. Its stillness is its strength. Contrast that with us, the modern human, endlessly adjusting, optimizing, multitasking. We are so busy being someone that we've forgotten how to be. We're trapped in what could be called the tyranny of doing, where rest feels like guilt and silence feels like failure. But here lies the quiet paradox. Every time we pause, the world doesn't collapse. It breathes. The chaos continues to move, yet somehow we start to see the pattern beneath it. In that moment, a subtle shift begins. We realize that doing less doesn't mean being less. It might, in fact, mean becoming more. Because when we stop forcing life to happen, life begins to unfold through us. Just like the river carving its path through stone, without haste, without effort, but with infinite strength. So maybe the question isn't how to do more, but how to return to that effortless flow we once knew before the world taught us to struggle. What if the stillness we resist is the very thing our hearts have been searching for all along? To understand Wu Wei, effortless action, we must first confront the illusion that drives nearly every modern mind, the illusion of control. We spend our lives trying to shape the world, to bend circumstances, people, and even ourselves into an image of success that was never truly ours to begin with. We chase happiness like a reward, forgetting that joy was never something to be won. It was always what remained when the chase ended. Lao Tzu saw this thousands of years ago. He wrote, "When nothing is done, nothing is left undone." To most, it sounds absurd, a contradiction dressed as wisdom. But the deeper you look, the more it begins to shimmer with truth. Because Wu Wei is not about doing nothing. It is about doing without resistance. It is not passivity. It is alignment. It is not surrendering to defeat. It is surrendering to flow. When a musician loses themselves in a melody, they are not doing nothing. Yet there is no strain in their movement, no separation between intent and execution. The fingers, the breath, the sound, all dissolve into one. The music plays through them. That is Wu Wei, the state of being in which action arises spontaneously from harmony, not from force. Imagine a dancer moving without thought. Each step responds to the rhythm, not from planning, but from feeling. The body and the beat are no longer separate. That effortless grace, that's the Tao in motion. When we live in this state, we no longer ask, "What should I do?" Instead, we listen for, "What wants to happen through me?" And life, in its quiet intelligence, begins to answer. But how do we find this state in a world that rewards striving? It begins with one word: trust. Trust the process. Trust that the river knows its way to the sea. Trust that your path unfolds not through domination, but through understanding. The more we try to control life, the more it resists. Control creates tension. Tension creates suffering. But when we soften our grip, even slightly, something miraculous happens. The current takes over, and the very thing we were chasing begins to drift toward us effortlessly. This is why Lao Tzu compared Wu Wei to water. Water yields, but never loses. It flows around obstacles rather than fighting them. And in doing so, it erodes even the hardest rock. He wrote, "The highest good is like water. Water benefits all things and does not compete." That line contains the entire philosophy of harmony. Because when you stop competing with life, you begin to cooperate with it. Look closely at your own struggles. How many of them were born not from life's cruelty, but from resistance, from insisting that things be different from what they are? We suffer not because life is difficult, but because we refuse to let it be easy. Even in heartbreak, loss, or uncertainty, there is a deeper intelligence at work. When you stop trying to rewrite reality and begin to witness it, something extraordinary happens. Peace returns. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It's the presence of awareness within every movement. The Tao does not ask you to escape the world. It asks you to flow with it. To eat, breathe, speak, and love without the need to control outcomes. To work with care, yet without anxiety about results. To walk your path not with fear, but with openness, like a leaf carried downstream, weightless and alive. When you practice Wu Wei, You begin to notice a shift in every moment. The breath slows, the heart softens. The world, once chaotic, begins to move in rhythm with you. It is not that your problems vanish. It is that they lose their power to pull you away from presence. You become like the sky, fast enough to hold the storm without being disturbed by it. And this changes everything. Because from this state, action becomes pure. You no longer act from ego, from I must fix, I must win, or I must prove. You act from awareness, compassion, and balance. You say the right words, not because you thought of them, but because they rose naturally in that moment. When you are in Wu Wei, your entire being becomes a mirror for harmony. The universe moves through you as effortlessly as the wind through bamboo. This is the ultimate freedom, to act without friction, to live without weight. It doesn't mean you never struggle. It means even in struggle, you are no longer fighting against yourself. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, stop, breathe. Remember the Tao is already moving. You are not outside of it. You never were. Your task is not to force your way forward. It's to recognize that you're already being carried. That recognition, that surrender, is not weakness. It is awakening. When the mind grows quiet, the natural intelligence of existence takes over. Like stars knowing when to shine, or seasons knowing when to turn. And from that stillness comes action, effortless, precise, timeless. It is the kind of action that does not drain, but renews, the kind that feels less like effort and more like truth. Because when nothing is done, when striving fades away, what remains is pure being, unclouded, unhurried, alive. In the words of Lao Tzu, the Tao never acts, yet nothing is left undone. What might your life look like if you allowed this truth to guide your every step? There once was a man who lived at the edge of a great river. Each morning he would watch the water rush past his small wooden hut, sometimes calm and glassy, other times wild with rain. For years he dreamed of crossing to the other side, where the mountains shimmered like silver in the morning light. Over there, he would whisper, life must be better. So he began to build a raft. Every day, after working in the fields, he would hammer, tie, and carve until his hands were blistered and his back ached. He believed that once the raft was strong enough, he would finally find peace. But the river was unpredictable. Each time he thought he was ready, the waters would rise, and his creation would be torn apart. The current mocked his effort, swallowing weeks of labor in a single night. Years passed. The man grew older, his hair gray, his eyes weary. Yet his determination hardened. If the river fights me, he told himself, I will fight harder. One evening, after another storm destroyed his raft, he fell to his knees by the water's edge and shouted, Why won't you let me cross? The river only gurgled in response. Calm now, gliding as if nothing had happened. Exhausted, he sat beside it. For the first time, he didn't plan, didn't build, didn't resist. He simply listened. He noticed the sound of the current brushing against the stones, the way the moonlight trembled on its surface. He saw leaves drifting downstream, spinning effortlessly, carried by the flow. Something within him softened. All these years, he had fought the river, but it had never been his enemy. It was his teacher. The next morning, he woke with no plans. He walked to the river, barefoot, and placed one hand in the water. It was cool, alive, infinite. And then, instead of building another raft, he began to walk along its edge. Each step light, unhurried, guided by instinct rather than direction. He followed its curve through forests, across meadows, through rain and sun, until one day, after what felt like a lifetime, the river widened, slowed, and finally met the sea. The mountains he had longed to reach stood quietly in the distance, waiting, unchanged. But when he saw them, he smiled, not with desire, but with understanding. He realized that he had already crossed the only river that truly mattered, the one within himself. Because peace was never on the other shore. It was here, in the flow he had resisted all his life. He knelt, touched the sand, and whispered, "Thank you for not letting me cross before I was ready." And the river, in its silent wisdom, carried his words away. That night, he slept beside the sea. The stars flickered above him, and the sound of the tide echoed like a heartbeat. In the quiet rhythm of that moment, he finally understood the essence of Wu Wei. The way is not won through effort. It is found through alignment, not by conquering the current, but by moving with it. For when the heart flows like water, nothing is left undone. So ask yourself, what river in your life have you been fighting to control? And what would happen if, just for a moment, you stopped resisting and allowed it to carry you home? There comes a moment, subtle, almost invisible, when striving collapses into surrender. It doesn't announce itself. There's no applause, no grand revelation. It happens quietly, like the exhale after holding your breath for far too long. That is the moment Wu Wei becomes real. You realize that the peace you've been searching for is not something to reach. It's what remains when the reaching ends. The struggle to prove, to control, to be enough, all of it begins to dissolve in the stillness of simple being. You start to see it everywhere, in the way morning light touches the curtain, in the pause between your heartbeat and your next breath, in the gentle rhythm of people walking, each step perfectly timed without anyone commanding it. Life doesn't need your effort to keep turning. It only needs your presence. And yet, we resist this truth because surrender feels like defeat. We think letting go means giving up, but it's not. It's the opposite. Letting go is the highest form of participation. It is saying yes to life, without conditions. Imagine for a moment standing on the edge of the ocean. You've been holding a fistful of sand, afraid to lose it, terrified that if you open your hand, you'll have nothing left. But when you finally release it, when the sand slips through your fingers, you see that what remains is not emptiness, but space. Room for the tide to fill your palm with something far greater. That's what Wu Wei asks of us. To trust the flow enough to open our hands, to stop measuring life by what we hold, and start feeling it through what moves through us. When Lao Tzu said, "When nothing is done, nothing is left undone," he wasn't celebrating inaction. He was revealing the profound intelligence of stillness. He was teaching us that peace does not come from effort, but from alignment. We spend so much of our lives trying to force things into being: love, purpose, success. But what if these things only come when we stop gripping them so tightly? What if the universe has been waiting all along for us to stop interrupting it? The truth is, when you live in flow, everything begins to move with you. Decisions become clear. Relationships soften. Time itself feels lighter, as if the world is finally breathing at your pace. And you begin to understand something extraordinary. You were never meant to push life forward. You were meant to dance with it, to move when it moves, to rest when it rests, to listen to the silence between each note, because that silence is where meaning lives. So breathe, unclench your hands, trust the river. You don't have to fight for peace. You only have to stop standing in its way, because in the end, the river always knows the way home. The only question is, will you let it carry you there? So much of life is spent reaching for answers, for success, for certainty. But the deepest truths are not found through grasping. They arrive when you finally become still enough to receive them. Lao Tzu did not teach a philosophy of escape. He offered a way of returning to the natural rhythm that hums beneath all things. To live in Wu Wei is to rediscover what was never lost. It's to act without strain, to create without fear, to love without demand. You begin to see that the world does not need to be controlled. It needs to be understood. And once you understand it, once you trust it, it begins to unfold through you, effortlessly. So perhaps the invitation isn't to do more. It's to pause, to listen, to feel the quiet pulse of existence that beats even in chaos. The next time you find yourself forcing something, a conversation, a plan, a dream, stop. Step back. Ask, what if I allowed this moment to move on its own? Then breathe. Watch what happens. You might notice that life, when left unhindered, has a way of guiding you exactly where you were meant to go. Because when nothing is done, nothing is left undone.